Yes, Sophia, we can hear you.
Hi, so sorry guys, so sorry about the delay. Just got in and was trying to find my hotel room.
It's all right.
That's perfectly fine.
So I think I can turn my video on now, hopefully. Hi, assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to the third session of AlumniConnect with the School of Education. So today we've got three guests with us. And so we've got Amir Kamran, we've got Saba Malik, and we've got Fatma. I don't see her here. Sarah, is everyone here?
I am here, Dr. Sophia.
Yes, they're all here.
Guys, do you want to turn on your videos as well?
They have, Sophia, so your video is static. And we can't hear you.
Okay. Got an interesting lineup, and I think I just want to kind of bring.
Dr. Sophia, I would suggest that you
You
keep
can't
your
hear me.
video off. I think that would work better for you. Please, na lag bhi nahi karega.
Okay, so she disconnected.
Guys, I'll ask her to keep her video off. That should prevent this from happening. And again, I'm really sorry that this is happening. This is, let me just speak to her.
Guys, I'm back. Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Maybe in the interest of just keeping the conversation stable and going, I'm going to keep my video off because it might be taxing the bandwidth. So we can get started with the conversation though, because that's the. But guys, the participants are welcome to keep theirs on so it's more engaging. So thanks a lot for joining us today. It sounds like the three of you are up to a lot of interesting work. So maybe we can start by going one by one.
Sophia, we can't hear you. So Habiba, let's start with you. Let's go with the introductions.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Saba Malik. I'm from the 2020 batch of SOE, the first batch. And I had a bachelor's in computer science before I joined SOE. And I guess I'll just start with after SOE for introduction. After graduating from SOE, I started working as a short-term consultant for different projects. So far, I worked on 4 or 5 different projects in the span of a year. My last project was with Akasis that is just wrapping up. And we were doing some very interesting work on seeing how research and actual evidence generated from the field has an impact on large scale studies done all over the world, and how we can actually use this evidence to improve our data gathering mechanisms and impact evaluations. And apart from that, my interest is in developing sustainable tech interventions and using EdTech for betterment. So off to Afreen, I guess.
Thank you, Habiba. So my name is Amir Kamran. I'm also from the inaugural batch, class of 2020. Before coming to SOE, I was working with Beacon House at the School Evaluation Unit. Primarily, my job is to basically visit schools all across the country and some overseas schools of Beacon House and ensure that quality of teaching and learning is provided to the students. Teachers are well trained and they're actually providing good teaching and good well-being of students is ensured. And we're also obviously ensuring that the learning environment provided to students is good. So that's primarily my job that I was doing before SOE, and then 2 years at SOE, and I'm back at Beacon House. And during the last 1 year, during the lockdown, and while we were doing our thesis, we were also engaged reviewing all the online schooling that was provided by Beacon House. So the last 1 year has been really interesting in that way. So yeah, over to Fatma.
हाय दोस्तों, अस्सलाम वालेकुम. This is Fatma Iftikhar. कुछ लोगों ने शायद मेरे बारे में सुना होगा because I keep sending email to a lot of students for the program that I work with at LLI. SOE से graduate होने के बाद I got hired at LLI as co-lead for partnerships, and the kind of partnerships that I deal with, these are of pedagogical sorts. So जो program है जिसको मैं lead करती हूँ, it's pedagogical partnership program. Basically, we train the students and also train the faculty members to work together as equal collaborators and partners. और इसके अलावा at LLI, I've also been involved in a bunch of other stuff. For example, there is this Teaching Excellence Award that we are having at LUMS this year. I also work with that project. And then I'm also currently working on a TA guidebook project where we are developing a holistic guidebook for TAs because, a lot of TAs struggle with their roles and responsibilities or बहुत सारी understandings जो कि उन्हें नहीं होती. So these are a bunch of things that I'm doing at LLI, and it's been almost a year now since I'm doing this. So yeah, that's what I've been up to after graduating from SOE.
Wow, so it sounds like everyone's been doing some pretty exciting work. So there's a range of situations. There's partnerships, there's working with like the everydayness of schools, and then there's also the service delivery pathway. So we're getting a range of skills in front of us right now, which is quite exciting. I just wanted to start by like, maybe what we can do is just order this out in introductions, and maybe we can follow that kind of order for kind of offering your thoughts and responses. And then we can open it up for questions eventually, and keep it kind of interactive with the audience. So just starting with the first question, just wondering, how does it feel to have kind of left? They always say that the best part of your life is when you're at an educational institution because you're so protected. How does it now feel to be out in the real world, away from the relative safety of SOE, still kind of very engaged with education, but also now really having to take charge and assume responsibility for the specific tasks that you are being assigned? What's been the biggest shift so far? So Habiba, would you like to start first?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, but I feel like SOE, like coming back after working for some while and then joining a graduate program, it was a very different experience because like going back to that student life, I think I was able to appreciate it more, the safety net, and like there was pressure, but again, it wasn't the real life situation that we were dealing with. But so it was a great time, and I think I was able to form a support network there, and even meet with a lot of people that I could look up to for guidance. So after graduating and going back to the real world, I feel like the things I did learn from a lot of people there and from a lot of courses are coming in handy. So even in my last project, like it was actually an application of a lot of what I learned in the courses there about how we are going from access to learning and how do we apply those frameworks. And like funnily enough, a lot of the other projects that my cohort had done, so I could actually refer to those and think about it in those terms that, oh, they did this school evaluation plan that we could look to as a framework for future research, for EdTech projects. So a lot of the things that we did learn in the program are coming into conversation at a best practices level, at an international level. So like going into the real world, I do feel like SOE equipped me enough with the basic knowledge to actually develop and tackle the problems that we face.
That sounds amazing. Has that been the experience for you, Afrin?
So interestingly, I mean, I agree with Habiba, but I do also want to add that, the way we ended was very sad. And there was, because our last semester was really in isolation, and, we were at home, and it was a very weird situation, so yeah, that closure, I wish we had, had that. Yeah, so that whatever happened after that and during our, last semester, and joining an organization, starting to work, all of those things were different and the same for me, because I was obviously coming from work. I had taken a 2-year leave, and then coming back to a classroom environment with teachers and assignments, and making new friends. All of that was good, but then the end was a little it was a dampener. But right now, things are still the same. We're working also now, sometimes it's work from home, sometimes you're working from office, so the routines are obviously not the same anymore. So yeah, whatever experiences we all had in our class with our teachers, those things, they I do have those flashbacks, that this was discussed in the classroom, or this was something that I worked on as an assignment. So SOE's 2 years have definitely, added on to my skill set and my perspective towards education, for sure.
And I'm just curious, because you started with this, this very realistic observation that COVID has made things incredibly difficult for all of us. I'm just wondering, so that last semester that you had online, did you learn anything important that you were able to then carry into your current workplace, where, of course, you must be kind of following a hybrid model? So there must be many days where you're having to do a lot of stuff online as well. Are you able to make that connection then in some kind of training?
Yeah, because it was the last semester and we were supposed to produce, our final thesis. So staying on our deadlines and staying really true to, what we're supposed to be obviously presenting. So we were very, I think, it was important for all of us to, stick to a plan. And that has really helped me to follow that now when, it's back to office and, it's professional, and, people expect you to act, put together and all of that. So that, I think, has helped me in figuring out how I work and how and what kind of environment I work best, and how to sort of deal with people while collaborating, but still staying online and behind a screen. So I did learn that during that period.
Okay, so that's not a bad thing then. Because that is the new reality that we're faced with, and so we've got to get ready for it at some level. Fama, what's your experience been? You're still kind of located within the LUMS universe.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of online transitions for the universe. What about you guys?
Yeah, so for me, it was a little bit different, because I was a novice professional, and just like Habiba and Afrin, I didn't have a lot of experience prior to my SOE degree. So after this, I was kind of, the position that I got to be into, I was a little intimidated by that, because it was a leadership position, and I was kind of struggling with a little bit of imposter syndrome. I don't know if I'm capable of doing that, because abhi to graduation ho rahi hai, I have a lot of things to learn. So it came to me as a surprise that if I was capable of handling this position, and I think जैसे जैसे काम आता जा रहा था और I was able to do that. So I was grateful to everything that I've learned at SOE with every fiber of my being, because I did not know until I was doing those things that did I know this? Was I capable of doing this? So, and also Dr. Taiba and Dr. Lana have been around me, and also I see Humayun hiding amongst the audience, so he also works with me. So I think SOE के अंदर रहते हुए भी I felt taken care of, and while I was translating into this new role जहाँ पे मैं अब आई हूँ, and also LLI is housed in SOE. So I think for me it's very different, and it's kind of a back and forth journey, because as I said, as a novice professional, I struggle with sometimes I get intimidated, but then my support system that I have around me it is really helpful for me. So yeah, I think it's very mixed experience for me after SOE. And also I do miss my friends, because they were also they also played a big role in reassuring, but because of COVID, and all the distances and everything, so having this system around me at LLI and SOE, so I think it really helps me perform well. So yeah.
And I just want to push you guys a little bit. I know that this is not the most comfortable of topics, but it is something that I think the listeners will benefit from, especially. All three of you transitioned out of your program without kind of seeing the rest of your cohort. And then you've also had to transition into a new work environment where you haven't fully been able to have that in-person experience. And I think that there is a parallel to our new cohort, the current MPhil cohort. And they've pretty much, this is their first year and it's ending, and it's all been online, and it's been kind of a COVID year for them. What are some of your practices of resilience that you might want to share with them, and that also this recording could save for future listeners or viewers? What are some of the things that you've done to really cope through these difficult moments of not enough human interaction? Fana, do you just want to go? Yeah, okay, Habiba, let's go.
To be honest, it is a difficult time, and it is very difficult because we were so used to working closely in groups, and I think we spent our entire day at SOE. Most of us even spent our nights at SOE. It was our safe space. So like Afreen said, it was a very hard exit from SOE. Like we couldn't see each other. The last semester was in isolation. Our online thesis was a bummer because everything was presented online, all our work. But now that this is the real world, some of the things that have helped me is like having video calls during projects, like even the small teams that we do work in. So we have work calls, but then like a de-stressor call of sorts where we do catch up. It's there's no agenda. It's just a general catch up on what's happening. A lot of things that you can't discuss in meetings, but having just a face-to-face interaction with the same project team, you can discuss the problems you're facing or what is happening in your personal life. Just sharing those things helps develop a bond. And for the SOE cohort, it's great to have like a video call with a few friends. Over like in the past year, Fatma and I have been able to meet once or twice, and it actually has been a huge booster for both of us. So I think these small wins, where if like you're able to meet, if you're able to have short video calls just to catch up, that actually provides like a boost to get through a lot of work.
Also, I've also realized that it's good when you show up for yourself in times of isolation, when you're obviously down and you're supposed to work obviously, and there are deadlines to be met. I think it's a good idea, and it's personally I mean, I've tested and tried it, is that you perhaps dress up, take a shower, look fresh, and then have a designated space where you start working, and then work for like an hour with concentration, and then take frequent brain breaks. That has helped a lot. And then yes, watching light comedy shows on Netflix has always helped me. During the last 1 year, I think I've watched the entire series, whatever is available on Netflix. That really did help. Although I'm not a huge fan of these comedy shows, but during that last 1 year, I've realized that they're really important to decompress. And finally, I think there was a lot of family time, and that I think we're sort of as a generation, and I feel that we don't really spend a lot of family time together. So the last 1 year was an eye-opener, and I did realize that support system is really like, when you tell your problems to your family and you really actually acknowledge that they can understand and they will support you, that was really helpful. So the new cohort, we do understand where you might be feeling isolated and a little left behind, and that's in that way, but perhaps there is a silver lining in this situation as well. So
yeah, in addition to what Afreen and Habiba said, oh sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Fatma.
Yeah, I was just going to add just like a concluding remark to this question. Like in addition to what Afreen and Abiba said, I think it is also for me. It was also a good time to catch up on my readings that I that I didn't do while I had the time during the courses. So yeah, in addition to those things. Hello.
Sophia, we can't hear you.
Yeah, hello, Fatma.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I was listening. So Fatma was speaking, and then there was like a little bit of a data patch. Sorry, you were saying that you were catching up on readings, Fatma. Is that what you were
Yes.
saying?
Yes, that's what I was saying, that I had some time, just like spare time to read, especially the readings from the leadership course, because during that course sometimes the readings became so overwhelming that at one point I remember I stopped coming to the classes with readings because it was just all over the place. So I think now was the time for me to catch up with them. So if anybody wants to do that, now is your time.
I think that's a really interesting suggestion. I mean, I'm not like, to be fair, you're now out of that formal assessment process, so I think it's a little bit easier, and the relationship with the reader also takes on a different dynamic, doesn't it? Because you know that nobody's like kind of hanging a scorecard over your head.
Yes.
But I think that that's a very interesting way to spend some of this excessive time that we have to ourselves because of COVID. But I really like some of the things that you guys have pointed out, especially, I mean, I think one of the things that I'm noticing from what all of you have said is you need to find one particular thing that you can kind of count as a detail in your life and then give it a lot more attention than you might have been able to previously. So whether that's in the form, Fama, of your readings and just turning back to something familiar but going into it more deeply because you didn't have the chance previously, or whether applying that same logic to your relationships with your family or friends, and then just finding these informal ways, so not relying on a schedule all the time, because I think that's one of the things, right, that COVID has disrupted so much, that informality with which we were able to just bump into somebody or just have a quick chat. We're having to kind of orchestrate that. But I mean, even that orchestration then starts to feel a part of like a schedule. So just pretending that it's not a schedule, but it is actually scheduled in that informal interaction. So those are some interesting things. I wanna come back more to a little bit of that professional dimension. So we've heard about what all of you are doing, and I'm just wondering whether this is kind of the work that all three of you were anticipating doing when you came into the program, or even halfway through the program. Like, what made you finally move in this particular direction? And I mean, it can be any reason, just be honest with us. Habiba, do you want to start?
Yeah, you said Habiba, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I feel that this isn't particularly what I wanted to do. Like to be quite honest, like because I am based in Rahim Yar Khan. So when I was graduating before the COVID pandemic happened, there were very few opportunities that I could actually pursue. So now the world is online, and suddenly like there was a lot more that I could do, and there were a lot more options that I hadn't even considered before graduating. And so I decided to use this time to actually be able to explore more options that were initially not open for me because everything was online. So in the past year, I've actually been able to work on a different set of projects and learn new things. So while I am interested in edtech, it has been a great experience to actually apply my graduation like SOE knowledge to different projects. For example, like doing work on higher education projects, that how do we design them, or learning more about how evidence and data is used in program design. So it's not particularly what I would want to do long term, but it is a good learning experience. And during this year, it has helped me learn more, keep grounded, and actually stay in a positive state of mind, to say.
For me, Dr. Sophia, while I was obviously towards the last semester, everybody was looking for jobs and everything. So I was contacted by my former employer if I would like to join back, which I, to be honest, did not want to join back to the same organization. But I did realize that the work that I had been doing before SOE was really fulfilling for me. I really did enjoy that. Once, towards the end of the program, I did, a bit of soul searching, and I did realize that if this is something that I really enjoy, perhaps I could, negotiate a better position or a better salary package, and some interesting projects within the organization. So I was able to, do that. I was lucky. I'm right now doing exactly what I really enjoy. But before SOE, to be honest, I did not really, understand that this is what I really enjoy. So perhaps the courses in leadership, and perhaps, the time that we got during those small group discussions and all those, conflicting ideas that you get while you're in a very different space, in a different place, like, from coming from an office setting to a classroom setting, you do see different dimensions of your personality. And that's where you perhaps realize that this is what you really did enjoy. This is what you were good at. So that's what happened with me while, the job hunt had started towards the end of the course. And I'm grateful for all the opportunities that, SOE did give in terms of letting me decide what I really do enjoy, not just following the crowd and looking for jobs that perhaps were lucrative, but not what I really enjoyed. So yeah.
Yeah, so for me, Dr. Sophia, I think again, as I said, that I was a novice professional, so I didn't know that what my area of interest was till the fourth semester, in fact, because on this project I was working as an RA, and when I was offered this position, it happened so organically that. In fact, I would use a metaphor here. I feel like my seed was sown in summer 2019, because that's when I started working on this project. And I think along with that, I grew up, and Dr. Taiba and Dr. Lana were really the gardeners, and they really, very carefully, helped me grow. And I was a sapling till the fourth semester until, and I don't believe that I'm a tree right now, because I think I'm still growing. I still consider myself as a sapling. And I don't know if my interest is gonna change or what, but I really think that I am in a good place, because there is a lot of challenge jo ki har waqt ho raha hai, and that LLI, the kind of work that we do, LLI was basically, it came into being as a response to COVID. And a lot of work that we are doing is a response to COVID, jisme faculty development hai, ya students ki koi kisi kisam ki training hai, ya kuch bhi hum kar rahe hain. So most of it is coming as a response to COVID. So I think it's a good place, very challenging, and also I have a supportive and reassuring staff along with me. So yeah, I think I like this, and I'm glad to be here where I am.
Those are some really interesting stories. And I think the general sense that I'm getting from all three of you is there's been a little bit of just going with the flow, hasn't there? So, I mean, life is kind of handing you lemons, and you're like, okay, let me just make some lemonade with it. And which is not a bad thing, right? I mean, especially aajkal ke halat ko agar hum samne rakhein. So let's be honest, there are so many people who don't even have jobs right now, right? So it's nice to have work and be in a line of work where there was still room for it, right? Because COVID hit some sectors much harder than others. And, as difficult as the transitions have been in the education sector to this online life, the fact that that's been a possibility has meant that a lot of people have been able to keep their jobs alive as well. So I just wanted to stick that perspective in as well. It's just something that I think about a lot personally as well. But just going back to, so Habiba, just coming back to the things that you were talking about, especially let's go to ed tech. This is something that you had engaged with previously, and then bam, suddenly the whole world needs the kinds of skill sets that you're walking around with. Do you see yourself becoming even hotter in demand on the market very soon? Or are there just not enough opportunities, or do you just not have the right platforms to be making those connections with prospective employers, do you think?
You're right. But I do feel like there's a missing middle to it all. Like we just jumped from developing edtech solutions to implementing them at large scale. So a lot of the work that I had been doing about the development and how to sustainably use edtech interventions, and like one of the underlying things that we did learn is edtech is a tool that needs to be used to actually scaffold and supplement the learning already happening. But what the pandemic actually showed was learning wasn't happening. So a lot of criticism has been made against edtech, that oh, it failed in Pakistan, edtech isn't doing anything. But I do feel that that missing middle, the sudden jump from actually implementing the solutions and just not having a learning base, like the learning losses that we're seeing in Pakistan and in developing countries, it's not something that edtech can just solve. So there are opportunities for edtech, but I do feel a lot of the work isn't fulfilling enough because it's a lot of them are ad hoc solutions, even in Pakistan. It's just that get something out there, use Microsoft Teams to start learning, use Zoom to start learning. So there's a hustle to get it done. So there are opportunities, fulfilling or not. The jury is still out. Like I didn't find a lot of them to be fulfilling enough for me. But what we are going towards, I feel, is very interesting because now organizations, EdTech Hub and FCDO are actually developing frameworks and sustainable plans for developing countries on how to roll out these interventions. And that is something I do find fascinating. And I feel like when the right opportunity presents itself, those would be interesting projects to work on. But as for the market demand, yes, a lot of people are looking for edtech people, for curriculum specialists who can actually adapt these curriculums for edtech. And like you said, even in this uneven economy, there are a lot of education jobs, because that is one of the focus. Education and health, a lot of opportunities are still available.
And what about you, Afreen? So you're kind of connected with a system that's, I think it's been engaging with some kind of ed tech for quite a while now. It hasn't Beacon House. How are you seeing things shift dramatically, or are they shifting dramatically at all for a school system like that, which was already in the space, but then, you know, this is a curveball, isn't it, COVID?
Absolutely. So we were able to, observe the transition. Obviously, it was in a very abrupt transition from, traditional schools to online. And we were able to see how Beacon House, being, one of the largest private networks, who are providing education, to actually see how they are doing. And because they are better than other education providers, they had they had access. They could obviously train teachers much faster than other school systems. And then we also saw over the past 1 year that parents and their perspectives and their perceptions towards online schooling has changed a lot. It's been obviously more than 11, 12 months. So initially we were seeing that, parents were not really understanding how important it is to, provide their students with their children with some sort of a routine, and how important it is to still maintain some connections, even if it's through an online platform with their peers, with their teachers. But now we're seeing gradual, buy-in from the parents, where, there was a very intense dropout in the beginning, in the initial months in the system. Now we're actually seeing that, these parents are sending their children back. Fee recoveries have started to happen. Teachers' perception towards this has also developed greatly. In the beginning, it was just used, just because it's COVID and just because they have to teach, they would, use these and throw these tools and resources in a classroom, and without knowing what the purpose is. But now we're seeing with training and with real understanding, this is the new norm, and they really do have to teach students, and those of all ages. I mean, starting from, early years till IB and, O levels and IB systems and everything. Teachers have really adapted, and we do see that, they're taking it seriously now, because it's like a constant to and fro from, complete online, then some hybrid, and then some schools still open 100%. So Beacon House as an organization has really developed and improved upon their provision. We do still, have these conversations with school leaders about, learning losses and how they plan to eventually, when things are normal, how they plan to sort of, respond to learning losses. And to be honest, some school leaders are not there yet, because they've had to handle so many different dimensions. The business side of schools, the training side, and then obviously their own, well-being, teachers' well-being, family members falling sick, and all of those things do take a mental toll on you. So only now they're starting to, really understand that there is going to be a backlash, there is going to be like a learning loss situation. And so my work primarily does sort of engage these school leaders into building up capacity, where they understand that when schools really do open, what is the action plan. So yeah, COVID has sort of developed, I think, teachers, especially in this system that I'm working, it has developed, and, resilience also, and also the fact that, self-sufficiency. I mean, they're trying to sort of depend on themselves only, not looking at their head teacher or their peers to help them and support them. So we'll see that teachers have come up with very innovative solutions about how to really support their students in class. So yeah, we've seen very good practices, and then interestingly also they do understand that it's a worldwide situation, and so they're in it together. And so that is also very important when you feel that you're part of a community, which I feel teachers in Pakistan think that they're just doing it for the sake of it, and they're just doing as I mean, we're housewives, or we're somebody who's just earning like a side pocket or a pocket money sort of situation. But now they're beginning to realize that they're part of a bigger family where everybody's going through it, and everybody's looking at teachers, right? They're easy to point fingers at. So I feel like that dynamic also is very interesting, especially in a system where, like a private network, where fees and provision and all of those questions are really, really important from the parents' perspective. So yeah, interestingly, it has been an eye opener for me as an employee of this organization.
So Fatma, just coming to you, just taking what the two have already talked about, I'm just wondering how it's playing out at the higher education level. We've seen like this Cadbury ad doing the rounds, which is like a way of appreciating your teacher, which I thought was pretty cool, because when we think of teachers, we think of land, which is very unfortunate. How's it been at the higher education level for you guys?
Yeah, Dr. Sophia, initially it was great. People were responding शुरू में, because सब लोग बहुत इंटरेस्टेड भी थे कि हम लोग चीजें किस तरह से नए तरीके से ऑनलाइन फोरम्स पे चीजें प्रेजेंट हो रही हैं, अगर ट्रेनिंग्स हो रही हैं तो वो भी ऑनलाइन हो रही हैं, एंड पीपल आर इंटरेस्टेड इन लर्निंग न्यू थिंग्स, खास तौर पे जूम की प्रिपरेशन शुरू में. बट अब क्योंकि लोगों को पता चल गया है, लोगों को आ गया है, सो नाउ इट इज changing a little bit because people are not responding to it anymore. हम लोग trainings के लिए अगर लोगों को sign up करवा रहे हैं या कोई interesting चीजें अगर share करा रहे हैं for students or for faculty members, so उसमें हमें उस तरह से response rate नहीं मिल रहा because people are tired of doing everything online now. Or I mean, we get sign-ups, a lot of in fact, I was talking to my colleague आज ही that we were conducting this interesting workshop, and then 30 or 40 people sign up for this, and then again it's nobody shows, or even if they show up, it's a very small number that, a lot of work goes into preparing something, but when people don't show up, it's a little also disappointing for us. But I mean, that's our job. We are going to be there offering support. You take it or leave it. It's up to you. But yes, the response rate have declined now.
So you guys are getting, I mean, well, you used to be a student, but now you're getting a taste for what it feels like to teach online, where you're kind of
Yes.
staring at a screen. You're thinking, I think all
Yeah.
my students are asleep, aren't they?
Yes.
So I just wondering, well, we've got some students here listening in. Does anyone have a question that they want to ask? If you want to put your hand up, I can come to you. So someone's got a question. Someone, do you want to go ahead? And then we'll go to Faryal.
Yes, right. So my question was, we've sort of slightly touched upon the fact that because this was the COVID year for us and also for you guys at that point, and Dr. Sophia sort of slightly mentioned that job-wise, the situation was bad out there. So I just wanted to ask you guys what that process for you guys was like when you were trying to find a job in your last semester. What resources did you use? Who was offering support? And were there enough options, especially in the fields that you guys were interested in?
So I'll just answer this briefly. So yeah, while we were at SOE, I think we were offered numerous opportunities, career fairs, be with and other networking sessions, be with hamare. So we were like lucky in that sense that we did get a lot of exposure in meeting these potential employers and everything. I'm not sure how it's going to be like now for you guys. But in terms of really sort of finalizing or meeting an employer or an organization that you really want to work, I feel like was a hit and miss for most of us. I'm not sure, I mean, we all had different experiences. And so you do have a wish list, obviously, that you want to work in the public sector or the private sector, and you have all of those aspirations. But in the end, I also do feel that it's more of like whatever presents itself. I mean, if you're like somebody who is really picky, you would really wait for that opportunity to pop up. But if you're somebody who's just going to grab whatever comes and just sort of make the best out of it, then that's how you're going to be like. So I think for each one of us, it was a different story. Some of us got what we really wanted, and some of us were just happy with what came our way, and we sort of made it work for us. So, and I think it's going to be like that for the cohorts that are to come in the future also, because the industry itself, I feel, it's my personal opinion, that it's not a very huge one. And so you will have to be very smart while that time comes when you're starting to job hunt. You have to be very smart and very sort of conscious of the fact that not a lot of opportunities are out there, and that's my personal opinion only. Habiba can add on to it.
Yeah. So like Afreen said, by the time we were graduating, we did, because things hadn't gone online yet. So SOE was actively working, we had career fairs, and that did present us with an opportunity to interact with organizations, didn't necessarily end up with immediate job offers. But given that the world is virtual right now, I would highly recommend using tools such as LinkedIn and your online network, like polishing those up, because now people are presenting opportunities there. I myself have gotten like headhunters and other people have approached me, because if you update your LinkedIn profile, if you send out feelers to your network, reach out to alumni, if you see any one of us working in organizations that you would like to work at, send us an email, contact us, contact people through SOE. A lot of the staff and faculty and SOE are exciting projects, different companies. They can provide you leads. So you would have to do some work, but there are opportunities out there that you can look for. And the perfect opportunity, like Afreen said, would present itself at the right time. So while you're graduating, you can't just say, oh, I will get the perfect job and that is what I'll do. If you want to work, find the right fit that you can do and go for it. There's learning experience out there that are great. And but LinkedIn would be my first advice, that do polish that up and send out connection requests, like properly written connection requests, not just connecting with people, but think about what you want to do, look at roles, look at HR representatives out there, and you can send out feelers, you can send out your resumes, and just build networks like that.
Yeah, and also just touching upon another aspect of finding a job, I also believe in creating opportunities because, as I was saying, that how my role was translated into a job. Like I wasn't expecting that I'm going to get a job out of it. I was just doing an RA shift, and I think yes, as Abiba and Afreen said, that there are opportunities available. There might be. I don't know how it looks like at the moment, but there were our faculty members were working on certain projects. So really, get in touch with them and offer some support, like what they are doing, like in terms of learning and understanding what is happening. Because I still remember Dr. Andrabi would always tell us to reach out and to talk to us and come to us. मेरे काम बहुत है मेरे पास, आओ मैं तुम्हें काम देता हूँ, तुम्हें काम चाहिए मैं तुम्हें देता हूँ. So it's like a lot of learning in that as well. So I know a bunch of other people as well who were working with some faculty members, and then those opportunities translated for them into other roles. So I don't know where they are at the moment, but I really believe that working towards an opportunity can also be a good strategy for job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we want to take Faryal now? Faryal, what was your question?
Ji, Assalamu alaikum. First of all, thank you for doing this, taking out time. This is very helpful, seriously. So I wanted to ask MPhil level के ऊपर, I'm assuming perhaps we are taught in a very different way than the undergrad students. जैसे Dr. Mariam भी कहती थी कि you might remember this, कि it's really up to you how much you learn from this program. And I also remember Dr. Sophia saying this in the first class, कि I'm not going to mark your attendance. So, you want to learn, you show up. So, treating us like adults. So do you have any tips that we can use to make it a more meaningful experience for us? How to make the best of the opportunity that we have while we are at LUMS. And I'm not talking about the core concepts, the courses and everything. Of course, wo to humne karna hi hai. But other than that, something that might that worked for you, that something you focused on while you were at LUMS and that helped you in your career later on, and also something that you didn't probably focus on and you now think that probably you should have used that opportunity, the time at LUMS, to polish up on certain thing which might help you later on.
Can I respond to this question?
जी.
Yeah, the first bit, I think something that really helped me was to stay connected with the people who were in my leadership group, because I know, like, people had different experiences with their own leadership group, but I think it was very helpful for me to have this a bunch of people where we could sit and talk about things candidly and openly. So I think one thing to really fall back on, since you quoted Dr. Mariam, so that really reminded me that it is always a very good team to fall back on whenever you need help and support. So I think that can be a helpful tool to thrive.
Just adding on to Fatma, I think a tip that I think will be helpful for anybody who's perhaps struggling or just trying to find how to sort of go through this course and obviously learn something meaningful. I think and a mistake that I also made, I'll have to confess, is that please don't compare yourselves with others and their progress and their journey or their pace. I think everybody's learning at their own pace, and when you listen, for example, in leadership course, जब grades आते थे तो हर कोई किसी से discuss करता था और share करता था और फिर comparison में आते थे, और वो एक इतनी I mean वो बहुत एक weird किस्म की एक head space बन जाती थी. So I think वो एक चीज से अपने आप को separate रखना एक बहुत बड़ा skill होगा, एक पहली बात. और दूसरी बात, अगर आप वो कर लें तो मेरा ख्याल है you will stay grounded to who you really are and why you're here in this space. तो वो जो एक race है वो हम सबको पता है कि है बस grades और GPAs and everything. उससे अलग रह के अगर आप अपना काम, assignments or whatever learning goals that you have, अगर उसको आप उस वक्त उस तरह से achieve करें अपने आप की pace के अंदर रहकर, तो वो I think is going to be more helpful than just following the entire crowd. So that's just one tip, and I really hope that some of you understand that and take away like हमारे अपने हम तीनों के experiences से अगर आप उसको सीख सकें.
So two things that I would actually like to mention is learn from your colleagues. कि एक चीज जो बहुत जैसे लर्निंग आपकी एक्सपैंड होगी ना, बिकॉज लाइक इन योर कोहॉर्ट बहुत वेरियस डिफरेंट एक्सपीरियंसेस के लोग आएंगे डिफरेंट सेक्टर्स के. फॉर मी पर्सनली मेरा सिर्फ सर्विस डिलीवरी का एक्सपीरियंस था, फील्ड का था, बट लाइक Afreen was doing private sector, high cost private schools. उसका वहाँ का बहुत ज़्यादा experience था. We had people who had been working for special needs education. And the like education, like Dr. Andrabi भी कहते थे, education पूरा ecosystem है, it's a field कि बहुत broad है. और सिर्फ आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि ओ आई डू edtech तो मुझे सिर्फ edtech के बारे में सीखना है, that's it. बट हर चीज़ इतनी इंटरलिंक्ड है कि टीचर ट्रेनिंग से लेकर आपके डिफरेंट स्कूल नेटवर्क्स हैं, आपकी हायर एजुकेशन ट्रेनिंग, हर चीज़ इज़ वेरी इंटरलिंक्ड. तो जितना अपने कॉलीग्स की स्टोरीज से, उनके प्रोजेक्ट से आप सीख सकते हो ना, जस्ट टू एक्सपैंड योर नॉलेज कि हो क्या रहा है, डिफरेंट सेक्टर्स में क्या हो रहा है, आपकी इंटरेस्ट फील्ड के साथ कैसे वो लिंक होता है. एंड देन सेकेंडली जो आपकी अपनी इंटरेस्ट की फील्ड है, सो इफ देयर इज अ कोर्स और समथिंग दैट यू एक्चुअली इंटरेस्टेड इन, कि अगर वो लीडरशिप है, वो इवेल्युएशन है, डेटा में आप इंटरेस्टेड हो, तो आई वुड जस्ट रिकमेंड, दिस इज समथिंग आई डिडंट डू एंड आई शुड हैव डन, कि डेटा में इंटरेस्ट है तो गो बियॉन्ड द कोर्स कंटेंट. आप खुद ही से देन अप्रोच योर प्रोफेसर. नो प्रोफेसर वुड टर्न यू डाउन एट एसओई कि हम आपको और काम नहीं देंगे या हम आपको और हेल्प नहीं करेंगे. Once you come out into the professional sector, it will help you immensely to have this in-depth knowledge. And if you lack work experience, it will be even a greater help for you. कि अगर आपने किसी चीज़ को और इन डेप्थ पढ़ लिया, अगर आपने इवैल्यूएशन का बियॉन्ड द कोर्स कंटेंट आपने और प्रोजेक्ट्स कर लिए, आपने कोई पाइथन लैंग्वेज सीख ली, कुछ और सीख लिया, आपने स्कूल इवैल्यूएशन में और ज़्यादा लेटेस्ट फ्रेमवर्क्स पे काम कर लिया, तो दैट वुड हेल्प यू इमेंसली इन द प्रोफेशनल फील्ड दैट यू एंटर.
Thanks, ladies, for such comprehensive answers. And I do think that, Fatma, you will probably be getting the most inquiries now because the pedagogical partnerships that you're overseeing, given that's the predominant advice coming from the three of you. So I think we're pretty much out of time, but just any final thoughts or aspirations or some kind of like, I don't know, advice or feedback to the school, to the students, anything that you would want to kind of give back now that you've had time to step away from a student context?
I think from my side, it's an open invitation. Please reach out. You guys, I'll leave my email address in the chat. Please reach out if you need anything, if you want me to hear something that you're struggling with at SOE or anything. Literally, just hit me up. I'm here.
I would extend that offer as well if there's any way that I can help, because SOE did provide us with a community of people to help, to reach out to. And like Faryal said, it is a very different experience. Our professors weren't just professors or teachers we took courses with. We interacted with them, and I think, are still learning from their work that we follow. And so if there's any way that we can help you guys out, we all met virtually, but I hope we can meet in person someday. But if there's anything we can help you out with, any advice we can give, or if you just want to have a chat. So we're all always available, and our emails are also active on Outlook, I think.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say that please have fun while you're studying, and just enjoy the time. I mean, I understand that it's obviously in isolation and you guys are not perhaps in the classrooms and in the campus, but even then try to make the most of it. Because once you're back in the office setting, it's only, it's very, it's not fun anymore. You're just answerable to a lot of people, and you have to obviously, meet deadlines, and yeah, so it gets messy from here onwards. So do have fun while you can.
Yeah.
Please don't run after grades. Graduate GPA doesn't matter. Please just enjoy and learn, and don't run after grades.
I think that's some really valuable advice. I think one of the most valuable things that I heard through this session was also the emphasis on maintaining a sense of humor as a coping mechanism, right? So thank you, ladies, for that wonderful advice and all the things that you've been able to kind of, enrich our knowledge banks with. Well done to all three of you for the amazing stuff that you're up to right now, and good luck with everything in the future. And thanks for taking out the time to join us. I'm so sorry again that, I kind of lost 5 minutes for us in this conversation, but I really appreciate you sticking it out. It was lovely talking to all three of you.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you.
Thank you,
All right,
everyone.
take care.
Thank you.
Thanks to
Take care.
everyone.
Khuda Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
Hafiz.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, everyone.
My pleasure.
Allah Hafiz.